Hello, welcome to Melanin and Habinot Live. This is a breaking news about an urgent situation in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As a blogger, I have been blogging about the gang stalking program, the racist system, and the abuse of the fundamental human right. I stay here in the United Europe of gang stalkers and have focused so far on the gang stalking situation and the abuse of humans here in Europe where I reside. I have been hearing so much news, and once in a while, I throw in some points about the happenings back in the continent of Africa. Now I'll be going back home to my own country, Nigeria, where there is an urgent situation about an ex presidential candidate, Mr. Sowore. Mr. Sowore was actually he is a former presidential candidate and the founder of the news site Sahara Reporters. Was first detained. He was first detained in August after he called for revolution. Actually, when the presidential election took place, this year, most Nigerians was actually against the re-election of the present president of Nigeria. Actually, the present president of Nigeria was he presided over Nigeria's in the 80s. And he came back again. This is actually the second time he's in office. And actually, we've not seen anything tangible this government has done. So after this presidential election, people are beginning to get so much uncomfortable about the way things are going. Joblessness in Nigeria, there's lag, there's poverty, there's higher crime rates, and so many other things. Even there's the introduction of Boko Haram and so many other things. And this new presidential election, when the presidential election took place, there's this new, young, vibrant, activist, well-experienced presidential candidate. He is young, a little bit younger than me, but he has achieved so much in his young years. He was part of the group that actually formed an attack against the interim government of Abacha that actually made him step aside because, that requested for him to step aside. He has done so many things, even while he was in University of Lagos, before moving to Canada to do his master's or PhD. And at the end of the day, he came back actually to prosper his country. Just like they actually gave Abiola tea and killed him, because anybody that wants to actually do something tangible for Nigeria, there's always this attack. Sowore, I've always said it in private conversation, and now I think it's an item we start speaking out in public places, because it's of no use when we discuss privately about what is happening and what we can change. And as a blogger, I believe every blogger should rally around this man before they kill him in prison. First of all, the Nigerian president right now is in his 70s. When he was re-elected, Nigeria actually was in chaos. People were even shocked that he even was re-elected. People didn't believe the election was fair. They believed they rigged the election, but still yet, Nigeria did not go to war or actually did a revolution. But this Mr. Sowore said, if we don't believe it was actually the way it's supposed to be, he called for a revolution in Nigeria, because we need Africa to change. We need a young, vibrant presidential aspirant, because there's so many Africans in Europe. We are being persecuted, harassed, and you see graduates wasting away. Graduates that can actually make meaningful changes to our country, Nigeria. But we have presidents that don't respect the laws, presidents that are getting married and they don't care about what is happening in their country, presidents that are borrowing billions. How can you borrow billions of dollars in a country that the exchange rate is beyond the roof? You are 70-something years, you are borrowing billions. Of course, you are not expecting to pay back the money. You are just actually putting the country in more debt. Now, Mr. Mr. Sowore has been he was arrested. He was detained and arrested by August this year, 2019. And the Nigerian authorities have detained journalist Omoyele Sowore a day after his bail was upheld by a high court in Nigeria. On Friday, Mr. Sowore actually he was pinned to the floor. The Nigerian authorities flooded, I think the Secret Service, they flooded the court. A court season was going on. They flooded the court and they pinned they aimed for Mr. Sowore. They pinned him down I will show some pictures that I have. They pinned him down in the courtroom on the floor during this scuffles with the state security agent at the court. His lawyer Falana, actually now took him into his car. They actually protested. There was chaos in the court, but the lawyer had to kind of make an agreement with the state security, and they told the state security they were going to bring Mr. Sowore to their office. But when they got to their office, he was actually, despite being granted bail in October, authorities of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have continued to hold him, sparkling and outraging from his supporters. So right now, his co-defendant Olawale Bakare is also in the custody of state security in Nigeria, the SSS, the State Security Service. In the picture, I'm going to pin to this video where Mr. Sowore was pinned in court and he has been redetained by the Nigerian government. First of all, the government presiding over Nigeria right now, Nigerians are not happy with this present president. We are not happy. He borrowed billions of dollars from the Chinese government. We are not, Nigerians abroad, we are feeling so much pain. We are feeling so much pressure. We are ashamed about what is happening back home, and we will not watch Mr. Sowore ask for a revolution, because sometimes to solve some problems, that's what you have to do, because this is the same president that is now saying, oh, he promised he's not going for the third time. You don't even need to mention it. If you don't want to go for the third time, nobody wants him there, so you don't even need to mention. But when a president is not claiming he doesn't want to go for the third term, definitely he's thinking about it. Because if it's not something you're thinking about, finish your tenure and go out of the place. But now he's arresting the only kind of the only person that is intimidating him. Sowore has a lot to offer Nigeria. That's why they're going to take him out. They're going to poison him like Abiola. They're going to kill this guy. Nigerians have to fight for this guy. And the fact that he has so much to do to help Nigeria, to restore Nigeria, and whatever the government has taken from the Chinese government by borrowing billions of naira to build a railroad, I've not even heard anything about the railroad being built. Already, the president has borrowed billions of dollars in the name of Nigeria. All he's doing is getting married and borrowing money. A debtor is actually enslaved by the borrower. Somebody that borrows you money, you are indebted to them. So this current president of Nigeria is not actually helping the country in any way. He's a 70-something-year-old man. He should be in pension, for Christ's sake. Sowore is a young man. He can lead to Nigeria to a place of positivity. He can help the youth of Nigeria, because he has done so many things for the youth while he was in Unilag. He has done so many things while he was in the university in Canada. He has done so many things, even during the regime of Abacha and the interim government. He did so many tangible things that even presidents have not done. Now they have the State Security Service, the Nigerian SSS, they've detained Sowore, and this is an illegal activity going on an innocent man. He called for revolution, not to topple any government. He called for revolution because he wants change, just like most of us. Most of us are in Europe here. We are educated. I speak speak 5 international language, but we go through all kinds of things here. And most of us wants to gladly come back to our country, but we're scared of Boko Haram, we're scared of the corrupt government, we're scared of all these things. Sowore has so many things to offer. He has an international exposure, he has a local exposure, he knows what is happening in Nigeria, he knows what is happening internationally, he knows the law, and he wants to follow the law according to the Constitution of Nigeria. The Nigerian government is not following the Constitution of Nigeria. They are not following the laws of Nigeria. They have redetained Sowore in the office of the state security. We have to rise up as Nigerians and fight for this man. We fight for this man, and we can even request for if the president is involved in this, because it must be something just like the British Prime Minister, the British representative said, or I think it's the American representative spokesperson said, it's either the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is not respecting the laws of Nigeria and the Constitution of Nigeria, or is totally ignorant of all everyone working under him is doing. Either way, it's not a good sign. Because if you're ignorant of the state security service arresting and rearresting people without your knowledge, it is a serious case. And if the president of Nigeria actually gave them the order to arrest Sowore because they see him as a threat, that is also something that is actually one should look into. Well, the world is watching. We are watching here in Europe. They are watching. The American government is watching. Every continent is watching Nigeria. And what will happen to Sowore? Nigerians must stand up for this man. He has a lot to offer. We are tired of all these old politicians. We want them out of system. We don't want old politicians to preside over Nigeria any longer. We want fresh minds. We want the youth. We want people that have international exposure. We want people that are intelligent. We want government that is educated. We want government that are graduates, that have masters, that have PhD, that have experiences. We want government that can actually relate with the people and relate with international bodies at the same time. We don't want government that goes around borrowing, making us look like a cheap set of human beings and borrowing money even from the Chinese. For you borrowing money from the Chinese, you will sign an agreement. Of course, you are selling our land to them without God Almighty. God Almighty. I'm so sad by this. I'm so nervous by this situation. Sowore has been arrested by the Nigerian government, by the state security, the state security service, the SSS, and the Nigerians must not just watch this. International bodies are watching this. It's either they are abusing the Constitution of Nigeria, or they are not respecting the law of Nigeria, and they're doing everything because what happened in court by pinning down this man, that definitely they want him dead. And when this is happening, it's always backed up by greed. I'm Lady Abimbola. Well, just like my friend will say, I'm just keeping it real. But on here on Melanin and How Be Not Live, I always say, face your fears, elevate your mind, and resist the temptation to panic. The Federal Republic of Nigeria is a nation that has been tagged as a giant of Africa. But what is actually happening to this giant? We have had this giant corrupted by so much that the giant is becoming weak and weak and weak every day. And we have all it takes to be a world power. It's over to Nigerians now to either take back our land and begin to restore our lost glory, or we sit down and watch while some greedy politicians destroy that which our children yet unborn should have as a point of reference. Well, I'm Lady Abimbola from Europe. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in my next video. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us.